So Ravi sir, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. It's I'm very privileged to have you on this discussion part, and Digital Terminal is known for tech news, bringing content which is relevant for the IT players, whether they are adopting IT or whether they are selling IT. So we cater to all of the domain. So should I start?
Yeah, please go ahead. It's great to really catch up with you. I also had the opportunity to go and visit the digital, the terminal, website. Very interesting,
Nice.
insights there actually.
Thanks for the appreciation and your feedback. Will definitely bring this content also very relevant for our audiences who wants information from players like you. Before I start, so can you brief about your role at Wipro and how things are going on at Wipro?
Okay. I think that's actually a good point to start for a simple reason that whenever the word Wipro is mentioned, typically
Correct.
people mistake it to be the IT company, right?
True.
So whereas Wipro Enterprise, Wipro has two group companies. So one is the Wipro Limited, which is the IT behemoth, and second one is Wipro Enterprises, which is completely non-IT, the company which is brick and mortar business. So Wipro Enterprises has two major segments. So one is the B2C, which deals with the consumer products, lighting and foods business, where it is ready to cook, as well as spices and snacks business. And then we are in the engineering B2B business, where we manufacture. We are the largest manufacturers of hydraulics in India, as well as we have footprints in all over the globe. Similarly, we are into the industrial automation business, where we are in fact empowering the companies to get onto the industry 4.0 standards in terms of manufacturing. And then we are in the aerospace business, where we manufacture the landing gears and the frame for the bodies of the aircraft. And mostly people would have flown in the aircrafts which are which have some or the other part made by Wipro. And then we are in the water technology business, as well as we are in the 3D printing business, which is metal 3D printing. So this is the B2B engineering business that what we are. So to clearly dominate, designated B2C and the B2B business. And we are present in around 25 countries with our legal entities, and with around 80 legal entities in place. And then we have got a revenue of around $2.5 billion annually. So
Oh.
this is the brief about Wipro, which is the enterprises, which is actually the non-IT part of Wipro.
So thanks for clarity. It's really you said right. When we talk about Wipro, all things about those BPO services and all these things. Great to know through our platform, our audiences will also know how many groups we have, what are the different diversification of the business Wipro is having. Thanks for sharing. Now I'll move to my official session, which I have been given to have some discussion around those topic, which is very relevant for my audiences to know. So should I start my first query for you, sir?
Please go ahead, Rajiv.
Okay. So Wipro has been at the forefront of digital transformation, which we all know. And what major shifts in enterprise technology and operation prompted you guys to move to Oracle Fusion Cloud EPM? And what strategic objectives were you aiming to achieve through this kind of modernization which you're doing? So this is very important to know because adopted this solution. So what is your take on this part?
Yeah, I think as I explained to you, Wipro Enterprises is actually a multi-geography, multi-segment, and multi-currency, nature of the business, which makes it really complex, if you ask me, in terms of managing, collating, compiling, preparing any of the financial statements.
Correct.
So you need to have ability to real time really work and extract the data and do the translations, do the revaluations, and with all the controls inbuilt from the point of view of a global company which needs to cater to the global compliance requirements in terms of the financial reporting. And it has to be robust enough so that it's always accessible from the point of view of any geography wanting to really have it. So this requirement in fact made me way back in 2017 to just go and do a short list of what are all the solutions available at that time in the market. and to better how exactly we can really achieve some of the framework that I put in place for the purpose of evaluating various service providers. So I'll just tell you that there are it was a grid of probably 3 by 2, wherein we evaluated the kind of objectives what we wanted to accomplish. The first was our application of choice. It had to have one ability to manage complexity and to do and scaling up, because we are an inorganic company, which where we are growing from 40 entities to 80 entities in the last 7 years. So we continue to grow inorganically, right? So that is one of the first criteria. The second criteria was our solution. It had to have in fact tech banding, as well as speed. This was very, very essential requirement, because I just didn't have the wherewithal to go ahead and change the technology very often, because nowadays the turnaround time for any evolution of the new technology is very, very short, right? The third and the last objective was our partner of choice had to be having the depth. He should be investing a lot in innovation, and they should be reliable. These were the three main objectives, which on which parameters we evaluated various offerings which were in the market, which led us to our EPM cloud solutions.
That's great to know. Means, in 2017, you started these kind of, modernization. So can we say that 2017 was a time when you started original, actual digital transformation journey for organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'll tell you, I think we we started our growth journey at that point in time, and that is when we started framing up our own vision, our digital transformation objectives. Putting them together, and then started taking which are all the priority items which we need to really address in a phased way. And this was probably the first item that we tackled.
Okay. Great to know, because it's been now almost 8, 9 years, and you might have been seeing the benefits and the growth your company is having right now. I'll move to my next part, which is about legacy systems often restrict agility and scalability. So can you elaborate on the core limitations Wipro faced before adopting cloud native tech like EPM platform, and how overcoming those barriers has improved cross-functional alignment and performance? So it has 2, 3 part in this. So I think you'll be able to answer that.
I think I know looking back, it really is I think I can articulate it very well. But when you started the journey, it was completely different. So if you look at it, what were all the pain points that we were dealing with at that point in time? The first one I already told you. Our landscape was multiple ERPs. Right, we are acquisitive and we have grown inorganically, which in fact rendered our estate with multiple ERPs. Right, any solution had to cater to this particular requirement of having multiple chart of accounts, and multiple kind of I would rather say output that will come, but it had to come in give me a cohesive financial reporting. Second thing was our on-prem solution, whatever we had, was extremely slow. Like consolidation process used to take hours, and my team used to stay overnight for many days in the office, just to get the consolidation. They used to get completely tired out by the time entire thing happened. And again, we used to dread, hopefully at the end of say multiple hours, the report that it throws out is actually correct, because if you were to rework it, then it will take another round of hours there. So the third one is the dependency on the IT function itself within the organization, because I had to have my servers working at optimum speed. Server was ours, right? The physical server was ours. Physical network was ours. Physical security was ours. So all these things, I need to always have an IT person who had to be on the standby for me, so that my close can go seamlessly, for the purpose of the board reporting. And the last and the most important thing was, technology had begun to change, with a much lesser turnaround time. So version upgrades used to happen very, very often. I remember we were on some version called version 2.2. I was made to upgrade to 2.4. It appears very simple, but it was almost like a new rollout. And though I am on-prem, I had to do re-implementation of the solution to ensure that the new patches which is provided by the on-prem solution provider was all in fact put into my new solution. So this used to happen very frequently, as a result of which our entire I would add as a resources used to really focus on that with a lot of concern. Hopefully the report turns out without any problem there, because I had to do the testing, I had to do complete implementation there and train the teams again for the new features out there. And now with the EPM coming in, what has happened is connectivity and access to multiple geographies, is seamless. I don't have to worry about the server capacity or the downtime, etc. They are taken care. Speed, is extremely, good, because press of a button, you don't have to wait for hours together. There's no dependency on our IT function, so IT is very happy with us, right? And
And
and technological obsolescence is just taken care of, because at the back end, things happen. I don't even realize, what they are changing there. As a result of which, the EPM solution it has brought in a whole new world, of scalability, speed, and remove the technological obsolescence issue forever from us.
that's great. Means, you thought of, doing this, and throughout the process, you faced multiple of challenges which every IT, people faces while, adopting new solutions or experimenting, doing whatever the things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you are having that kind of performance, that kind of growth which you are expecting, and those barriers are no more there, you know, which you're talking.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sir, implementing platform like Oracle Fusion Cloud EPM at a global scale, because, your organization is not a small organization, it's a very larger enterprise. So, implementing a platform like Oracle Fusion Cloud EPM at a global scale involves significant change. And what were the biggest cultural and technological transformations required internally, and how did you drive organizational buy-in across different geographies and teams?
I know. I think you're absolutely, right there. See, identifying the solution I thought was the biggest problem, but what I realized was that was actually not so difficult, right? Change
Yes.
management was the, tougher, journey that we had to really, undertake. So what has happened, I think during the implementation, what happened, for us also was that we were in the last mile. Covering the last mile is the most difficult and the most painful, kind of a, journey. So I have seen a lot of organizations doing 90% of the implementation because of the severe pain and the noise that happens. They just let it go. So here, we just have to have the resolve to go ahead and complete. In fact, some of our business segment CFOs called me up and said, Ravi, call it off. Let's move back. It's too painful for us. And I think I just have to have the resolve, there to continue with it and stick and take it to the logical closure there. And basically, there was 4-point framework that I, just probably I would, really, at hindsight, I can just say this framework works a lot in any change management which we deployed. I call it as ICDB framework. The first I means involve and invest, which typically means we as the core team driving this change should be as good, if not better, in terms of understanding and designing the solution as much as the product, in fact, provider as well as the implementer. That gives confidence within the organization. So the involving and investing in, understanding it, and then be, competent at it, makes a lot of difference. Second, C is for communication. No communication is less communication. We just need to communicate into the teams there throughout the organization on this change that is happening, so that it resonates with everybody. The drumbeat should start, much ahead of the journey with a timetable, so that people know what is hitting them, when is it hitting them, because these are the big changes that happen, right? The third one, I see T. T is the training, because there is a fear of change, when you do undertake these kind of changes, all over the across, organization, all across the geographies. So you should ensure that people, get into the, they play around with the new solution, they get comfortable with it, so that there is a lot less noise when we really go ahead and press the button, for implementing. The last one, which is very important, which a lot of times people forget, is the take the buy-in from the management. See, now in my case, again, we, as per the statutory requirement, we should send the financials to the board 3 days in advance, right? Because we were implementing it, we just socialized with the board that we are implementing the solution. We took time from them to just to exempt us from this 3-day notice, which board was kind enough to give it. This gave me 3 days more so that we can just put across the whole financial reporting on time. So these are the few things which really the framework